Okay, Baruch Hashem, we're continuing our series, part 3 on the Haggadah, and we're introducing the entire concept, a psychological experience of leaving Mitsuram, that it's not just something that we're commemorating that happened 3,300 years ago. We're speaking about a Yitzia that's happening every single Pesach, that's happening every single day, that's really happening every single second, if we but tap into it. And that's why we say in the Haggadah, B'chol dor v'dor, Chayv Adam Lirois, it's Asmai, Kilu Yotze Mitzrayim, to see yourself like you're living Mitzrayim. And we explained that the psychological reality is that we're being trapped right now by our animal soul. That animal soul is not necessarily bad, except for the fact that it's completely selfish, and it essentially pushes you to do things that would not be fitting of somebody who has a godly soul. Somebody who has a godly soul is meant to choose to identify with the godly soul and rise up above being just another gazelle or zebra or gorilla. Bamboon, that was the one I was looking for. Just to be a sophisticated bamboon that could decide to shave one day or decide not to shave the next day. That's not what we're talking about. You're not put here just to be a bamboon. You're put here, what's that?
A baboon.
A baboon. Oh, it's a baboon? What did I say? Bamboon?
Yeah, like bamboo.
Like bamboo. A Bambi. That's what I'm really thinking about. Even a deer, you're not just supposed to be a sophisticated deer. You're supposed to be a person who has the godly soul, and you choose the godly soul as opposed to the allure of the animal soul. And the animal soul is very alluring. He makes himself very appealing because it tells you, if you follow me, you're going to get ahead in life. If you follow me, you're going to be very rich. If you follow me, you're going to become a big somebody. If you follow me, you're going to have all the things you could ever dream of. And that's the allure of Haman, that's the allure of Amalek, that's the allure of the snake. I mean, the snake made a great case, right? You guys will be like God. You'll know good and evil. It's hard to say no to the snake. But the reason why the Jewish people are so meshugana about Pesach is we crack away from that consciousness. There's a complete yitzia where the godly soul can break away from the psychological, like we said, paro is the word's evil speech, the same letters. We break away from that evil speech in our minds, and evil speech doesn't have to mean like, you're nobody, you're nothing. Evil speech could be like the word ra. Rav Raskin loves this word. Ra is the word teruah. What's a truah? Shofar, right? What's the sound of the truah? What's so evil about that? The answer is evil doesn't mean evil. It also means that. But evil means broken up. There's no continuity. And therefore, when we're talking about that Paro, Peraz, the one that's saying evil to you, he's the one that's breaking up and saying that God is not in all places at all times. God is fragmented. Maybe you'll find him at the base medrash, but you won't find him over there. He breaks up your life that you don't experience God all the time. And that consciousness is what we want to get away from. The soul is always thinking about God every single second. That's why there's 6 constant mitzvahs that all revolve around thinking about God. And if you think, how am I going to think about 6 things simultaneously? Well, do I need to tell you that it's daytime outside? Do I need to tell you that you're a son? That you're maybe a father? That you're learning in yeshiva? There's certain things that you understand in consciousness. Baruch Hashem! I want you to come for Shabbos. I feel bad I couldn't get in. I'm sorry.
She didn't want me going out.
I'm sorry. It's so good to have you, Mamish.
It's great.
So, the process of leaving Mitzrayim is this process of allowing the soul, the godly soul, to break out from the consciousness of the Nefesh HaBahamis that basically just wants to make you an intellectual baboon. Is that the right one?
Yeah.
Baboon, thank you. Okay. As before we even get into the actual steps of the Seder, I just want to give you some of the background of what you're going to encounter on Seder night. You'll notice something interesting that when you walk into the Leil Seder experience, the married people generally will be wearing something very interesting. The kittel. They'll be wearing a white robe, oftentimes very shiny and royal, but completely white and pure. There's a few other times we wear white robes. When you get married, when you die, on Yom Kippur, Shana Rabbah. They're all related. We don't have time to go into it now. But essentially the idea of white is complete purity, complete identification with the quality inside you that's pure. That's why on Yom Kippur, when you completely remove the physical, a lot of people are on Purim also, when you completely remove the physical experience, all you're left with is the neshama, the soul, and that's completely pure. Death is the same thing. When a person leaves the fetters of the physical body, he's returning to his soul in a pure way. Complete identification. That's why you're buried in your kittel. It's kind of intense. Standing under the chuppah, you're like, digs they're called? Nice digs, Yeah, you're going to be buried in those. It's a little bit like shocking. Yeah.
Why does the man not wear white?
He was white. Yeah, he was a kittel. Yeah, he was a white kittel. In most communities, he wears a total white garb. That many will be buried in that or your talus or both. Your talus for sure. You take your talus. And I remember it was horrible. I was by the mirror in Mea Sharim, and it was the time when there was terrorist activity happening, and there was someone that was stabbed to death in Mea Sharim area. And they wanted the burial to be very, very fast, as is our custom, that it prevents pain for the soul. As soon as the body's in the ground, it's much more calming for the soul. And I remember that he was stabbed and killed in Mea Sharim, and they brought him in front of the mirror. Rav Elimelech Bitterman was giving his spadim. It was very intense, everything happening. They were screaming and yelling, and I was standing right beside the mace. I was with Elbaz, I was with Rav Moshe Brandsdorfer, Shlita, just standing there waiting for we're going to start, and they were saying his spadim. And I remember someone ran over, and he just gave the talus to the Chevra Kadisha. He's like, here's his talus. And they wrapped him in the talus. They went to his house, took his talus. They didn't have the talus. He was just in white shrouds. They took him, put him in the talus, and we lowered him into the ground. At that point, there's complete identification with the soul. Our theme, if you're following it closely, everything that's happening on the Passover Seder night is the same theme of leaving the fetters of the paroi, which convince you that this world is where it's happening, and help you re-identify with the soul. Now, by the way, you're supposed to stay in this world and live as a soul in your body, but not letting paro run your decisions. It's about re-identification. And on those particular times of a person's life, there's a theme of re-identifying with the soul. So on Passover night, there's a very strong connection to this, and therefore people are wearing the kittels. If you look in your Haggadah, many times it will show you this image of the Seder Plate. I drew it over here. You can see it. If you look in your Haggadah, it will oftentimes have, you have one in that Haggadah? They have a picture of the Seder Plate. The Seder Plate, there's really two customs, the Arizal and the Gra. The Arizal is basically the way the plate looks. You have a Zroya on the top right, you have the Beitza on the top left, that's the egg, that's for the Korban Chagiga. In the middle you have the Maror. On the bottom right you have the Charesis, that's the delicious part that my kids just eat spoonfuls of, with the wine and the apples and the walnuts and the cinnamon, clove, geschmack, and dates. The bottom left is the Karpas, different customs of having a piece of celery. Some people use an onion, potato, a parsley. and the bottom is the chazeris, is the horseradish. And then underneath, there's 3 slots for the 3 matzahs. So the Ari points out that these correspond to the spheres. The top right is chesed, top left is gevura, middle is tiferes, bottom right is netzach, hod, yesod. The plate itself is malchus, and the 3 matzahs correspond to keser. That's the kohen, chochma, and bina. And why is that relevant right now? Because anyone who's been with us in Tanya Shir knows that the animal soul also has these 10 powers, but the animal soul uses its 10 spheres, these 10 powers, for total selfish purposes. And the godly soul has these 10 powers. We don't have time to get into it now. We speak about this a lot in Tanya. Has these 10 powers all to be used for God, to give oneself towards God and God alone. And therefore, on the Seder plate, there's already an allusion to the 10 spheres, and we're going to be looking at it, we're going to be eating from it, we're going to be imbibing those energies. Everything on the Seder table is very particular, everything. And it affects all the higher worlds. So when we have these 10 powers on the Seder plate, it's a re-identification back to the 10 powers of the godly soul. Okay? And not to be bought in and not to lose oneself in the 10 powers of the animal soul. Just to give one example, chesed on the side of the animal soul is doing kindness but for oneself. I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine. You ever heard that one before? That's basically how most of the business world works. If someone does something for you, it's because they want something, you owe me one now. You owe me one now. Which means, were you really a giver? You were a giver in order to take. That's not really giving. Or sometimes the person chesed is so much giving that it blurs the borders. A person could use chesed to smother somebody. We say that the flood in the time of Noach was Hashem opened up ultimate chesed and it drowned people because they couldn't handle it. So the side of chesed on the evil side is that it's chesed that's involved with selfishness and it smothers people. But chesed on the side of goodness is real giving. I want to really give you because I love you and I care about you. On the side of gevura, on the animal soul, it's saying no because it doesn't have my interest in mind. On the side of the godly soul, it's being able to say no because that's not something that Hashem wants in the world. And all of the Seder night is a re-identification from the very Seder plate that you're looking at. We also do something on Seder night called leaning. Anybody heard about that one? Heseba, right? Yeah. Can you lean on yourself?
No.
No. Can you lean on your friend?
No.
Yes. Should ask him first. You really got to lean, by the way, to be Yotzi. I remember my earliest Seder experiences. I was by certain tzaddikim. They brought the entire couch to the table. I mean, and they literally were lying on the couch, the whole full extension. They ate the matzah like this, and the wine, mavish royalty. The Teimanim still do it like this. A lot of the Sfarim do it like this. Like they have these beds, the lounging beds.
Yeah.
I know. I personally think it's a great thing if you could do it. Otherwise, don't give me one of these things like I'm leaning. Come on, lean to the best that you can. Really, you got to go for it. At least all the way over there. Your mom is crushing your left side. What's one of the reasons for that? Again, a lot of this is things that we've spoken about in Tanya. We're just mentioning it here a little bit to bring out the inyan. Is that the main headquarters of your animal soul is in the left side of your heart. The Chalal HaSmoili, that's essentially where the animal soul is all fired up. The animal soul pushes you towards doing things, even if you don't intellectually think it's a good thing, but it'll just pull you towards it. Basically, the entire marketing industry is based on getting your animal soul excited about buying something you really have no need for. And furthermore, they'll engineer a need that you actually don't really need, but they'll just engineer it and they'll market it towards you as if you need it. And then you say, oh my goodness, I need this. And they'll make it so much a need that if you don't have it, you feel like you're really missing out. So much so that it'll get people to say things like, I only have the iPhone, what are we up to now? 11? 13 we're up to? Oh, Gematria Ava. Yeah, we're up to 13. We're back to 1 now. That's maybe where things are going. Whatever we're up to. And you have the model of only the 12X. So, I don't have the 13. Why do bad things happen to good people? You know? Because do you see what the 13 is offering you with the different screen bend and it's like one thing? I need it. I'm not Yotzi without it. And the engineer to such a degree, you think it's like you're disenfranchised. It's like rah if I don't have it. And a person starts getting emotional about, I need to have this thing, I need to have this thing. And they're so good at it. They're so good at engineering it. And then there's a social pressure. That's all working on the left side of the heart. The left side of the heart is the power that pushes a person to do something, even though it's not going to be good for him. The guy thinks, I have to go. I want to go meet a girl. I'm going to go to the bar to meet a girl. You think that's going to end well? You think it's a great way to start a wonderful marriage? You know, one night stand in a bar, drunk. What is he thinking? But the left side of the heart gets excited and that's it. So left side of the heart is the seat, the main headquarters of the animal soul, and it pushes, this is all conceptual, it pushes blood all over your body and then convinces you that it's a good thing to go and do those things. You see the chocolate bar and you're like, yeah, you know, I deserve one. So you don't need it. In fact, you're very sensitive to sugar. It's going to make you feel bad. No, you know, I need like 3 tubs of Ben & Jerry's because it has protein in it. Oh, you know, I had a long, in the gym, it's gains, you know. It's probably actually a mitzvah for me to have Ben & Jerry's right now. I don't want to have like a down and then I'll get, you know, low blood sugar. It's like, I have to go buy the Ben & Jerry's. I heard a guy say that he played, this is back when they used to have a game called Fortnite. He would play 7 hours of Fortnite a day at least. Because he said to me, do you know there have been studies? Anytime I hear that, there have been studies, I'm always like, oh yeah. There have been studies that playing 7 to 8 hours of video games a day helps your hand-eye coordination so much that I might become a pilot, and therefore it's Kadesh for me. It's really, you know, this is the best use of my time. I said, I'll tell you one more I heard. I heard a guy say this. He was a religious guy. Sometimes the religious guys are the best, you know, they're too smart. So, you know, I believe it was 1963, the Surgeon General announced that smoking kills. You know, we know that. Smoking kills. I don't need the packages with you know, scary images to tell me that. You smoke, it kills. So the guy said that I'm a smoker, and you know I could stay. I don't have to stop smoking. Even though I said, you know, you have to take care of your health. Maybe it's also. No. Those studies don't apply to me. Why not? He said all those studies were done on people that smoke 7 days a week. But I'm a religious Jew. I only smoke 6 days a week. I don't smoke on Shabbos, Yom Tov. It doesn't apply to me. I said, Rabbi Yid, that's not a Yiddish cup. I mean, it's too much. That's not the emes. So the animal soul pumps from it's because he just wants to stop. He doesn't want to stop smoking. He just wants to, you know, hit his vape and do whatever he does. Even though vape is definitely less toxic. But the whole society of it is not good. To pump up into the brain and to make him convince himself that, that's only a 6-day-a-week thing, not a 7-day-a-week thing. I'm just giving you a feel of how the animal soul thinks and operates. So on Seder night, what do? We lean this way. What do you think we're doing to the left side? Domination. Crush the left side. The right side of the heart is where the godly soul's emotion reside. Starts in the head. Is this a good thing? Yes. Goes into the heart, conquers the left side of the heart. Crushes, being koivish the left side of the heart. The whole night is leaning. So when you're leaning, you're also picturing of crushing that oppressive, snake-like consciousness that's convincing me of the most horrible ways of life. I'm crushing that tonight. And that's called cheres. That's why the halacha is that you lean, because that's called derech cheres, the way of free men. A free man is somebody who's free from the snake inside of him, who's free to think like a soul. That's what it means. Now let's begin the 15 parts of the Seder. The first part is called Kadesh. We have to sing the song because everyone needs to know the song, okay? So just let's sing along, we'll sing it together. Kadesh Urchatz Karpas Yachatz Magid Rochza Moitzi Matzah Ma'ar Kadesh Urchan Oreh Tzavon Moreh Alem Yitzam. Says that Rashi made these simanim. Some say it's from the Balatoisus. It says from the Magid, that the angel told the Beis Yosef that you should say these loud. So before each of the 15, make sure to say it loud. Kadesh. You should say it out. Kadesh. Each one before you do it does wondrous things in the spiritual world, announcing that this is what's happening, proclaiming. We start with Kadesh. And we're going to see that as we're going through the Haggadah, every single thing is this theme of escaping the clutches of the Yetzer Hara and getting to the consciousness of the godly soul. What does Kadesh mean?
To sanctify.
How does that help me?
You're sanctifying the day.
Speak it out. Sanctify.
Yeah.
Okay. How would I explain that to somebody? Like, what exactly do you mean by sanctify?
Well, I guess, from ourselves, we're putting ourselves in the mindset that this is a holy day. This is a special day. A bracha. Obviously, Hashem doesn't need our brachas. We're doing it for ourselves.
Well, in a certain way, it says that he does in a certain way. We'll talk about that.
But
What are we doing with Kadesh? We're making Kiddush, right? Making Kiddush. When do you make Kiddush?
Shabbos.
Shabbos, Yom Tov. Kiddush, what is the lumdus of Kiddush? Was meint Kiddush? What am I actually doing in halacha, yeah?
It's testimony.
It is a testimony of what?
Separation.
Separation. Now, by the way, we always make Kiddush. If you never heard this before, make sure to integrate this now. When you go from something less holy, we'll have to talk about what that means, to more holy, you make Kiddush. When you go from something more holy to less holy, you make Havdalah. Remember that. That's a klal.
Do we do Havdalah anywhere else in the book?
From Yom Tov. Havdalah, though, is a concept that when you are going down, I don't want to use the word holy anymore because I think that word just sounds too holy and not so relatable. When I say holy, you say, when I say holy, I mean
Bagels.
exactly. From now on, we're not going to use the word holy, we're going to use the word revealed God consciousness. Revealed light, relationship. Holy means God is more revealed. And this is another word I can't stand. Profane, right? That's probably how they translate it. You have separated between the holy and the profane. Like, is that like profanity? Like, did someone swear or something? Holy means more revelation of God. And chol means God is absent. But not that he's actually not there, but you have a hard time perceiving him. So when I go from the days of the week, which it's hard to perceive God during the days of the week. Why? Because you're wrapped up in your animal soul a lot. You're wrapped up in making a living. You're wrapped up in this world. It's harder to perceive God. But when Shabbos comes, all of a sudden there's an experience of stopping and being there's an awareness of God is more available to be seen. He was there during the week, but we have a harder time connecting to that consciousness. The idea of making Kiddush and the beginning of the Seder, of course, is going to be Kiddush, which you see is thematic in all of the holy days, holidays, is that a Jew is able to say there's a difference between my animal soul and my godly soul. I'm being Kadesh. I'm pushing away the Pharaoh consciousness, which is all about who knows God. I don't know of this God you speak about. Pushing that conscious, the Pharaoh inside of me, the Amalek inside of me, that's telling me, oh, there's no God. It's all happenstance. Who is this God that I should listen to him? All of that stuff. Hayesh Hashem b'kirbeinu im ayin. Suffix doubt, I push that away, and I'm leaving that consciousness, going up to a higher consciousness. And especially on Yom Tov, that happens in a unique way, where the end of Kiddush, we make an extra bracha, who knows? This year we're going to make Yat Nahaz, but who knows what's the bracha we make on a Yom Tov? A Shechiyanu. A Shechiyanu. And what do we say during the Shechiyanu? Shechiyanu v'kiyamanu v'giyanu. Lizman hazeh, to this time now. To this time now. Hashem, you brought us to this time now. That this time now is the same energy that we had in the first Mitsuram, and it's only getting stronger throughout all the generations. You brought us here that we can tap into this consciousness, v'yesa says, v'yesa is, even in a stronger way. So the first step is Kadesh, is moving away from lower conscious space of everything that the animal soul represents, peeling that snake skin off and getting to the soul that's underneath. And this is just the first step. We should be Zayach and Mamish to feel the Kiddusha of the Neshama. And tomorrow we'll talk about Orchatz Karpas Yeshua by a call too.